Thank you all so much for having me here today. I was very excited to get this invitation to be here with you. And this is a little bit of a change for me. So normally I am speaking about the Small Business Administration and all of the products and services that we provide. So I get to talk about things like loans for small businesses and access to entrepreneurial education and the great centers that we support, like this one here, government contracting. So it's all very exciting. And actually, it's really easy because I just can kind of go through my checklist of things to talk about. So today it's a little bit different. Erica asked me to talk a little bit about my own personal entrepreneurial journey, and I've never shared that before. So I'm excited, and I ask that you forgive me if I stumble along the way while I'm sharing this with you. I've not shared it publicly before. So today, and I also have to add, I'm from Texas, so I say y'all a lot. So please forgive that as well, or embrace it, or start saying it yourself. So first I want to talk about how women are doing in business and entrepreneurship today. It's good news. So right now, there are 11.3 million women-owned businesses in the United States. And they are generating $1.6 trillion annually in revenues. So that's a huge chunk of our economy coming from women-owned business. It's amazing, right? That's great. And over the past decade, while the total number of private sector businesses has grown, it's grown by about 9%. The total number of businesses that are women-owned has grown by 45%. So we've seen a five-fold increase in women businesses over the regular just private sector businesses in the past decade, which is amazing. And I think back to my grandmother's days where women just did not own businesses, and how quickly it's changed. And women are catching up very quickly. The gap is closing. When you look at women or business ownership by gender, and you compare the different age brackets, that 25 and under, that millennial group, the gap is very, very small between women and men ownership. So it's really exciting to see women stepping up and taking more of an ownership role in the entrepreneurial world. So I'm really excited about that. And also, something that's great is that women of color now account for almost half of all of the women-owned businesses. So it's a really exciting time to be a woman. And I'm just so grateful to be living in this country and in this time where we have opportunities like we do, to be able to come to events like this, to be able to go online and get answers. I don't have an MBA, but I feel like I've accumulated a lot of knowledge over the past few years because there are so many resources out there. And I think that's part of the reason that we see women increasing in their numbers as being small business owners. But there are still a few things out there that I think could be better for the next generation, for our daughters. And so I just want to share a couple of things with you today. There are actually two things that I wish I had learned a long time ago. These are not things that I learned in business books or in law school or anything like that. These are things that I had to learn the hard way. And if I could change one thing for the next generation, it would be for them to learn these two things a little earlier. And this is just my personal journey. This may not resonate with any of you. And if that's the case, I'm really happy, because maybe I was the only one who had to struggle with these two things. So the first thing that I learned after owning a business for about 10 years is that holding myself to an impossible standard was holding me back. So my whole life, I valued my greatest attribute. You know that question when you go to a job interview, they say, "What's your greatest weakness?" And you trick them and you say, "I'm a perfectionist." That was mine, right? I was so proud of that I was a perfectionist, and my family knew it. Holly is always perfect. She always does everything perfect. My friends, my family, my bosses, and then soon my employees. Holly's never wrong. She's always right. And I really was, I did everything perfectly. But I came to understand that the reason that I was able to execute most things flawlessly is because I wasn't attempting to do anything that might fail. So I wasn't pushing myself. I wasn't pushing my business. I was keeping everything very safe and very close so that there was no chance of failure, because I didn't want to be wrong. I didn't want to fail. So I found my identity in my performance, and what I was able to show was perfect. So the problem with that is I don't think I'm alone in that. I think that this is a problem that is very common, especially in women. In fact, there's research that has identified this tendency is very prevalent in young girls compared to their male counterparts in school. So starting in elementary school, girls begin to associate their failures, their academic failures, with a lack of ability. Whereas males, the boys in their classroom, associate it with lack of effort. I didn't practice hard enough. I didn't study hard enough. So starting so young, we see them starting to kind of take different paths, right? And they're learning these lessons as they go along, and they're being reinforced in schools and at home. When they get to high school, girls may enroll in a challenging class, and the moment that it gets difficult and they get a bad grade on a quiz, they drop the class. This happens over and over again. The boys, they just keep going. They don't mind that they're going to get a bad grade. They're just going to try a little harder the next time. But the girls in these high school classes are dropping them. When they get to college, we've all heard of the problem, the STEM issue, right? We don't have enough women in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Well, what's happening is girls will start out as a science or math major, but if they make anything less than an A in one of their classes that are a part of their major, they change majors to liberal arts. The boys, the college boys, they don't mind making a B in their major. They're just going to try a little harder the next time. They don't feel like they need to make an A in every single class that they major in. So we see this, the gap is growing wider and wider as they get older. And then we see after college, they go to apply for jobs. This is my favorite statistic. Men, when they go to apply for a job, you look at all of the criteria and requirements to be eligible for a job. If they meet, on average, 60% of the requirements, they think they're qualified and they apply. Women wait until we have met 100%. So this was something that was impacting me. It was impacting my business and my family. So I really made a big effort to change this. And I started letting myself fail and being okay with that. I started letting presentations go out the door, contracts go out the door that maybe weren't perfect, but they were good enough. And I saw my business grow. I saw my staff get happier because I was letting them do things that I wouldn't let them do before, because I was okay with maybe it not being perfect like it would have been if I had done it. I saw myself fail, but it was okay. I tried big things and I didn't succeed sometimes, but I learned really valuable lessons. I was able to win some really big clients that I never would have had the courage to go after before. I lost some pitches too, but I learned a lot. And one of the things that I also learned during this journey about overcoming perfection is that I was holding other women to that same impossible standard that I was holding for myself. And I think this is really common. If any of you've read Lean In, Sheryl Sandberg's book, she talks about this a little bit. And the greatest discrimination that women face in the workplace is from other women. And so something that I want to just encourage you all to do is let's reach out. We hold ourselves to the highest standard that we hold to ourselves. We also apply that to other people. We hold them to that same standard. Let's just give each other a break, okay? Let's let our fellow women succeed, and let's not push them down. I think that we're going to see this next generation have an easier time. The women will have an easier time because they aren't going to feel that same pressure with other women in the workplace. So that's something that has been really life-changing for me, and not only have I found more joy in life because I'm able to enjoy my kids when the kitchen's a mess, or enjoy my employees even when they wouldn't have done something the way I did it, or the project wouldn't have been, it could have been just a little bit better. I've learned to just relax a little bit and enjoy it. And I've seen not only great emotional success, but I've seen great financial success in that as well. And so if there's one thing that we can learn from men, it's to just let good enough, leave well enough alone, right? Like my husband, I'm just like, that's their best. And he's like, you know what, it works. So I think that we should do more of that. So the second thing that I learned, and this took me a really long time to learn, but incorporating gratitude into my daily routine gives me even more to be grateful for. So a couple of decades ago, the gratitude journal movement became mainstream. Oprah was talking about it, and I heard a lot of women talking about they were gratitude, doing their journaling every day, talking about things they were grateful for. And I wanted to have nothing to do with it because I was trying to be strong in a man's world. I'm a business owner. I don't have time for anything touchy-feely. I can't be letting my emotional side show. So I shunned it completely, and I thought it was just a waste of time. But then a couple of years ago, I was reading stories, biographies of entrepreneurs, and I kept seeing this pattern over and over again, that they were all crediting gratitude for being a huge part of their success. So I was like, man, I'll try this a little bit. So I started just a little bit at a time. At night before I went to bed, I would just take a moment, think of something that I was grateful for. And I would really I would feel it, right? I would genuinely think of something that I was really grateful for. It could be something big, something great that happened at work that day. It could be something small, like how great my coffee smelled that morning, or the hug I got from one of my kids. And I would take a moment and I would just really use that moment to feel true, genuine gratitude for something in my life. And I started sleeping so well. Like before that, I was not sleeping very well. I found that when I did that, I started sleeping through the night, no problems. I felt more rested in the morning. I had a more positive outlook in life. So I thought, well, I guess, maybe I should start incorporating this into my daily routine a little more. So I started doing it when I first wake up in the morning before I get out of bed. Just take a moment, think of something. On the ride to, going into work in the morning, take a moment, think of something. It could be anything. I mean, we have paved roads. This is amazing. I'm so glad we have paved roads. I just found myself being just like so happy. I didn't have road rage anymore. Everything was just better. And then I started seeing like lots of areas of my life affected by this in really positive ways. So I've identified 4 ways that my life changed because of this practice of gratitude that I had. One is that it made me more productive. So studies have shown that being grateful, like practicing a moment of gratitude, actually there's like a chemical effect in your brain. And it's sort of like this adrenaline rush that you get. And so I found myself being more productive with my time. I was energetic, I was motivated, had a positive outlook on my to-do list each day, and I was getting my list done. I'd never gotten my to-do list done before. So I found myself really using my time wisely and getting a lot done during the day. So just that alone, I was like, this is great. I will do this gratitude thing. The other thing it did is it made me a better saleswoman. So before I would go into a sales meeting, I was going to pitch a client, I would take a few moments out in the parking lot, or if it was over the phone, I would shut my door in my office and just take a few moments. And I would find deep within myself a real sense of gratitude for this person that I was about to talk to. I was grateful for the time they were about to give me. I was grateful for the services that, if it was another company, the services that they provided, that they had an entrepreneurial journey, whatever it was. I would think of something really genuine that I was really genuinely grateful for. And I found that my sales calls started going so much better. And I think part of it is, you're a little bit more likable if you're grateful to somebody for something. I think I came across as more genuine because I'd taken that moment to think about somebody else besides myself before I went into that meeting with them. And so I started seeing more conversions in my sales calls. And then I started seeing more repeat customers, and I started seeing more referrals. And I really can credit it, I can pinpoint the moment in time when this started happening, and it's when I started practicing gratitude. So that was great. That was the second thing I found. The third was gratitude helps me make better decisions. So I don't know about you guys, but when I'm panicked or I'm stressed out or there's a lot of drama or chaos around me, I don't always make the best decisions. And so what gratitude does for me is it gives me real good perspective on where I am in my life and how my life compares to others. And when I look at all of the terrible things that are happening in the world and how much worse things could be, sick kids, sick parents, war, famine, business failing. I mean, and those are like the big things, but then there are just little things. When I really take a moment to appreciate all that I have and how wonderful life is, I become very clear-headed and very rational, and it's easier for me to make big decisions. And so I found myself making better decisions because I was more calm and I had a better outlook on life. So that was the third thing. The fourth thing is it makes me a better leader. So in my company, we started doing more gratitude with our managers. We would have them, express gratitudes to all of their staff under them. And we saw this increased productivity. They felt more appreciated. And we saw it was just this positive cycle that would turn over in our office of people just, oh, you're grateful for me? Well, I'm grateful for you. Well, I appreciate that you did this. And everybody, it was just this great sense of meaning and usefulness and productivity, and everyone felt like they had a purpose. So it was really exciting. And it was good, but then there was a moment that it actually became critical and it saved our business. So I'm going to share a brief little story with you. Last year, there was a huge client that we'd been trying to get for a long time, and I'd been chasing after them, and they had a project that they put out for bid. And so I'd been chasing them for a year, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's too big. That's really scary, right? I went back to that perfection thing. I was like, well, I don't want to fail, so I'm just not even going to try. But I talked myself out of that, and I did my gratitude before the meeting. We did our presentation, and we won this huge contract. It was the biggest contract our company had ever received at that point in time. But we had only 3 weeks to complete the project, which is why it was such a big project, because it was a doozy, okay? So we hired 7 managers to help execute the project. Each manager had about 100 people underneath them working on this project. I packed my bag. I left my 3-year-old and my 5-month-old at home with my husband and my mom to take care of, and I flew across the country for 3 weeks to do this project and to execute it. So we get on the ground, our teams are working, we do these calls every night, with the 7 managers, a conference call so that everybody can call in and say, because we're spread out all over a big area, see how everything is doing. We're tracking progress. Everybody has goals. They know exactly, right? They know exactly what they're supposed to do every single day for us to reach this goal. I've got it down to the minute, what everybody needs to be doing. So we get on this call, and we're not doing very well. And the managers are reporting their numbers, and they're not where they need to be. So every day goes by, and I'm getting more and more stressed out. And I'm like, well, now you have to do twice as many the next day because you didn't do what you're supposed to yesterday. So now you have to do twice as many. How does that feel? And I was just really pushing everybody really hard, and it wasn't working. We just kept getting further and further behind. And so after the first week of our 3-week project, we had only completed 5% of the project. So we had 95% left to go. I was terrified, right? I was like, see, I shouldn't have ever tried to go get that big contract because now I'm going to fail. So we were about to have our call. It was the first night of the second week. We were about to have our call, and I was talking to one of our operations guys, and I was like, we've got to do something different. This yelling at people and pushing them really hard, it's not working. We've got to try something different. So we get on the call, and I told everybody, you know what, tonight we're not going to report numbers, because I knew they were awful. I'd already looked. They were terrible. So I was like, we're not going to do that tonight. So instead I spent the next 20 minutes talking to each one of them on the conference call, calling each one out by name and telling them how much I appreciated them and why and what I thought they were doing that was great. I did not point out anything negative. I just said, you know what, guys, this is really hard. What we're doing is hard. And if we can't do it, there's nobody in the world that can do it. So don't feel bad. I want you guys to continue doing the best that you can. And I said, tomorrow, instead of getting in the grind and going out and trying to do the work yourself, I don't want you guys to work on the project at all. I want you to take the whole entire day, and I want you to text, call, or in person, get in connection with each one of your 100 people under you, and I want you to tell them how thankful you are for them and how much you appreciate their hard work, and it's hard. And you know that it's tough, and it might not get done, but we just appreciate the effort. And I said, okay. So the next day, they did that. And right before we had our evening call, I logged into our project dashboard. We'd had a really good day. It was the best day we'd have yet. We're still really far behind, but we'd had a really great day. So everybody called in that night, the managers, and again, I said, we're not going to go over numbers. Tell me a good story. Tell me something great that happened today. Tell me that you're grateful for. And so they relayed gratitudes that they had from their day, an experience out in the field or an experience with a customer or something like that. And it was a great, everybody was kind of lighthearted and laughing. And I didn't tell them, we are probably all going to be looking for new jobs in 2 weeks, but I just was like, this is great. At least everybody's happy for right now. So I said, you know what? Tomorrow I want you guys to do the same thing again. Don't work on the project directly. I want you to just call everyone on your team and just tell them how much you appreciate them. So they did that. At the end of week 2, we were 45% complete of our project. So we'd made up huge ground. We continued doing the gratitude thing. People that were working for us started working extra hours without, getting paid. They were just like volunteering, and we were short-staffed in a few areas. And they were like, I've got all these friends that want to help. They would bring friends in to help that were, qualified to do the work we were doing. And every single day, we just climbed and climbed and climbed out of the hill, out of this hole that we had dug for ourselves from all of my demands that I'd made that first week. And we ended up completing our project with just hours left on the very last day. So to me, it was just the most amazing experience. And I will forever be a believer that gratitude is a powerful tool to use, not just in your personal life, but in your professional life as well. So that's my story. I did have one more statistic I wanted to share with you, and it is Florida specific. So in the past decade, Florida has been the fastest growing state in the country for women-owned businesses. So I really believe that Governor Scott has done an amazing job here. You have low taxes, you have lower regulations. It's easy for you to start businesses. You've got great resources here to help you. And so you guys are in a great place to be starting businesses and starting new ventures. So I'm excited for you and your journey. And my last words would just be, it's okay to fail. It's okay to not be perfect. Just take a little moment and express some gratitude to yourself and to those around you. And I know you all are going to do great. Thank you so much for having me today. Appreciate it.